Hey everybody, welcome back to another video. My name is Pooja, and if you're returning to the channel, thanks so much for coming back, and if you're new, thanks so much for stopping by. Before we get started, don't forget to hit that subscribe button, like this video, and of course leave a comment if you have something to say about what I had to say. So today is Friday, March 12th, aka the day in between Wandavision and Falcon and the Winter Soldier on Disney+, and we have nothing to watch today, and that has left a void in my heart, as I'm sure it has left a void in many other people's hearts as well, because Wandavision was so good. So I thought I would make a video inspired by Marvel to fill that void in your heart, if there is one. So you're welcome. Additionally, I would like to point out that I am indeed wearing a red shirt today, and red is the color of Wanda's powers, aka I might be Mephisto. There have been a lot of WandaVision theories that were all incorrect at the end of the show, so that was a lot of fun to follow along, and I just truly loved that show. I thought it was a masterpiece in terms of storytelling and the acting and how they really incorporated all of the different eras of television into the show and paid homage to those. So I really loved it, and I thought it was a wonderful way to integrate this very artful story into the Marvel Cinematic Universe, so it was super cool. Anyway, but today what we're going to be doing is taking some of our favorite Marvel characters and recommending books to them based on their character arts and character development. And I just kind of thought about sort of what the biggest themes in different characters' lives have been, and books that they might enjoy because they might relate to them given what the characters in those books are going through as well. So anyway, let's go ahead and get started. The first character that I have to talk about is Wanda, obviously. So Wanda's whole arc in WandaVision is about overcoming the grief and the loss that she's gone through after losing Pietro, after losing Vision, and just kind of having her whole family and everything torn apart from her so quickly. And just having to reconcile with all of that and come to terms with the reality of loss and what that's like. And so I thought that a good book for her to read would be Everything I Never Told You by Celeste, which kind of goes into those themes from the perspective of a family that is also dealing with issues of race, issues of not really feeling like they understood the daughter that has passed away, and just the whole mystery behind it, coming to terms with the fact that a person is gone, and how hard that is from the different perspectives of the family members. And I just thought that Celeste did such an artful job of portraying the grief that the family was going through, so I thought that that was something Wanda could 100% relate to and potentially learn from in her journey as well. So the next Marvel superhero that I have to talk about is everyone's favorite, Captain America. So one thing that I've always found interesting about Captain America's journey is that he is sort of this embodiment of misguided patriotism. In the beginning of his journey, he's so patriotic about America. That's why he kind of signs up so forcefully, like really tries to get into the army during World War II, and really is open to sacrificing his entire life for his country and doing the thing that, doing whatever is required of him to ensure his country's victory in the war, and he's so passionate about that. But then by the time you get to like the events of Civil War, for example, he started to question authorities and the powers that be and politics and agendas, and how that kind of plays into the decisions that politicians and just the institution of nations can make on behalf of individuals. And so I thought that that was a really interesting journey that he's gone through, of realizing that, oh, patriotism can sometimes be misguided and can lead people to make decisions that are morally wrong. And so I thought a great book for Captain America to read would be the City of Brass trilogy. I guess that's 3 books, not just one. But I thought he would really relate to the character of Dara in that book. So basically, for those of you who haven't read it, the City of Brass trilogy kind of imagines this fantasy world set in kind of the Middle East, North Africa region in the 1800s, I believe. And it kind of talks about this whole species of magical people who exist sort of outside the realm of humans and kind of it's an adventure story through their world. And so I thought the character of Dara really encapsulates the idea of misguided patriotism. He is very loyal to his sector of those people, which are the Devas, and will do anything for the leader of the Devas, will do anything to protect them, but kind of starts to realize over the course of the trilogy that perhaps some of that loyalty and patriotism is misguided and is potentially leading him to make decisions that feel morally wrong or are hurting the people that he loves instead of helping them. So I thought that that was a journey Captain America could really relate to. So the next character that I'm going to be talking about is Gamora. Of course, we miss her, R.I.P. She was one of my favorite characters, and I was really sad when she died. But basically, I thought something that really encapsulates Gamora's journey is her love-hate relationship with her parent, which is Thanos, obviously. So I thought it was interesting how even towards the end of her life, when Gamora has sort of decided that if she gets the chance, she will kill Thanos because she knows that if he succeeds, half of the universe lies at stake. And even then, she's still sad to see him in pain. She's still sad to consider the possibility of him dying, and still has the love there for him because he has raised her from childhood, even though he did destroy her home planet and her whole family on that planet. So it's a really complicated and interesting relationship to think about. So the book that I would recommend her to read is Burnt Sugar by Avni Doshi. This book was really popular last year when it came out, and I think it actually has a different name now that it's also being published under. I'll put it sort of on the corner and show you guys that as well. But in the book, basically, we have our main character, Anthara, who lives in India, and she has a really fraught relationship with her mother, who has never sort of felt like she was on her side throughout her life, but now her mother is starting to show signs of Alzheimer's and dementia and is slowly reaching the end of her life. And so the book kind of talks about Anthara's psychological, emotional, and mental journey to accepting what is happening to her mother, who she kind of hates but also definitely loves as a mother. So I thought that that was something Gamora could certainly relate to given her relationship with her father, Thanos. So the next character that I'll be talking about is the mighty Thor. Love Chris Hemsworth. Anyway, so I think one interesting thing that Thor kind of goes through over his character arc is at the beginning in the first Thor movie, he's shown as this sort of warmongering guy who really takes pleasure in violence and vigilante justice, kind of turns to that whenever it makes sense and takes a lot of pleasure in killing people to do what he thinks is right. I think he kind of achieves a point later on where he doesn't really see violence as the solution to everything and kind of sees the senselessness of revenge and war and just all of that happening as he kind of reaches sort of the end of his arc. And that's really something that I think is encapsulated in the conversation he has with his mother when he goes back in time during Endgame, and she kind of talks to him about the thing that he needs to do to be worthy. And I think he kind of really achieves that by the end of his arc, although his arc is not really over yet since we still have another Thor movie coming out. So one book that I thought Thor would really enjoy would be Frankenstein in Baghdad by Ahmed Saadawi. This takes place in Baghdad, obviously, in Iraq, and kind of it's a horror contemporary thriller type of book that deals with this Frankenstein-esque monster that is created from the body parts of people that have been blown apart due to bombings, and he kind of starts taking revenge for those deaths that have occurred to bring him to life. And it kind of encapsulates this idea of the senselessness of violence and the cycle that revenge can easily become if you just start fighting acts of violence with other acts of violence, and how it just never ends, and then who is truly the criminal there because you have just this never-ending cycle of revenge from one party to the other, and you can never really stop that, and there's never peace at the end. So I thought that that idea was something Thor could really relate to. And then the last character I'll be talking about today is, of course, Black Panther. So Black Panther, or T'Challa, goes through this interesting journey where he and the rest of Wakanda obviously have these sort of divided loyalties. He, of course, his first loyalty is to his people in Wakanda, but they're kind of closed off from the rest of the world and they're safe. And so the idea of going out into the broader world and trying to protect it doesn't come naturally to him because his first instinct is to just protect his own home. but he realizes that it is also his duty as a superhero, as an individual who can make a difference in the broader world, to also do that while protecting his home as well. So there's this sort of interesting instance of, who should I be loyal to? Should I just protect my own people, or should I do the right thing for a more global population of people? So I thought a book that he could really relate to would be Homegoing by Yaa Gyasi. So an interesting aspect of that book is that it sort of follows two branches of the same family tree, two sisters and sort of their descendants. One of the sisters is sold into slavery and comes to the US, and the other kind of gets taken into a more upper class or royal African family, and they actually enjoy the fruits of continuing the slave trade with Europeans and end up being quite wealthy later on in Africa. And so I thought this was an interesting juxtaposition of people who are really suffering and the journey of the family that sort of propagates the slave trade to protect their own village. I thought was interesting because it talks about this very difficult position that people are put in when it comes to protecting your own home versus doing the right thing. Obviously, slavery is a terrible, horrible, horrible thing, but when it comes to, in this moment, I can either choose to perpetuate the practice of slavery and protect my people, or I'm risking going into war and my entire tribe or village being decimated by these invaders. What choice would I make in that situation? So I thought that was a really interesting question that was posed throughout that narrative that I think Black Panther and T'Challa could really relate to and understand, and sort of see kind of where both sides are. So anyway, those were 5 Marvel characters, some of my favorites that I was recommending books to today. Let me know if you have any other thoughts on what books some of these characters might like to read. I don't really know if any of these characters really read books or not, but if they do, I think these are some that they would enjoy given the journeys that they've been on that we've seen in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And I hope that this filled the Marvel-shaped hole in your heart for this week, and I'm super excited to watch Falcon and the Winter Soldier when it comes out next week. So yeah, that was today's video. Hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, don't forget to leave a like and a comment, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel, and I will see you guys later. Bye bye.